everyone! Today I decided to make a video on how to make your websites a little bit more accessible using like 3 things. Now, website accessibility is so important because not everyone is able to see your website, which can sometimes be forgotten about, especially when I first started creating my own websites. But this video is really like things to keep in mind and like tools that you can use to make your websites more accessible to people who may not be able to see your websites. The first thing I did is I created like 2 basically identical websites, but I'll show you later. And then I'm going to show you really what makes one accessible and one not accessible. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to open my extensions. I'm going to turn on my screen reader. You just like search this in Google. Pretty simple. Then I'm going to go to my first website. And let's say if I
blog, YouTube, and Instagram projects.
Even though this is a navigation tag, the way that it's coded right now, it doesn't function that way. So someone who can't see your screen wouldn't know that.
Hello, person of the universe, heading 1.
This is something that I kept in the first one, but that's just a heading. Let's look at this form.
Name within name, edit. Email within email, edit text. Phone number within phone number, edit text numeric only.
Yeah. There's like a little submit.
Not accessible website, link collection with 5 items.
Then when I go to this photo,
law of image.
It just shows that it's a photo. Whereas when I go to this one,
Image of lavender flowers with green leaf background.
Even though it doesn't say lavender right.
Image of lavender flowers with green leaf background.
It still says that it still gives a description of like what's happening in the image because I use something called alternative text. And up here,
blog, YouTube, and Instagram projects, navigation.
It says it's a navigation bar, which is super duper helpful. And something that you can see kind of throughout the website is like the different colors. The colors on this page are harder to read opposed to this one.
Accessible website tab.
Something that really took me like first when I learned about like having a good color contrast for accessibility is I thought like, oh, I couldn't use color at all. But like that's simply not true. The way that I check my color contrast is I just go to coolers.com and then I just use their color contrast checker. And I always make sure that I have at least like an 8 contrast. But sometimes I use higher. And see, like, for example, that's not a good color contrast. But, like, 12 is great. And, like, you're still using colors, you know? Like, you aren't, like, losing anything. Whereas on this website right here, the colors, not everyone's going to be able to see that because the contrast is not great. So let me show you into the code that I did to make this website, which basically looks identical to this one, even more accessible to someone with a screen reader. Okay, so now I'm in Visual Code Studio, my absolute favorite place to code. And I'm going to show you like the things I did. So instead of just making this, like I did over here, a simple divide, I made this a navigation. So like the browser knows that it's a navigation bar, which helps out. So that's like tip number 1. The second tip that I'm going to show you is for down here all the way in photos. It basically is the same as just like writing another photo, but as you can see the differences, I just wrote alt, which is basically just alt text. And I just put just like a small little description. You don't have to make it huge, which is the thing that I kind of got in trouble with at first. Unless it's like an image or like a lot's going on. For the image I put down, just put like a little bit of stuff. And that's fine. As you can see, I just didn't do this here. And something that I also included, I guess this is like tip 3.5, because I guess the first real tip was having a good color contrast, is just make sure to put like headings like correctly. Because if you don't have like proper headings, then it's hard for someone to navigate your website because they can't see it. And also, I guess I have 4 tips, but who cares? For roles, I put personal information forms, and that also helps the screen reader. Whereas if I just have a form here with no role assigned to it. Yeah, so those are some of my tips. Of course, there's so much more that you can learn, but these are just a couple. I said it was 3. I guess I meant 5, but these are just some things to keep in mind. I hope you found these 3 tips on accessibility helpful, and I hope that you implement them in your website creation. Thank you. I hope you join me for the next one. Bye.